Well, hello there. It's another day, and I'm Jim Harrington.
And I'm Bill Knight. How are you, Mr. Traveling Man? He's a traveling man.
I'm fine. I'll tell you. You know, it's really. I gotta tell folks the adventures of doing the show on the road. You bring all the stuff you think you need: the computer, the recording equipment, everything's all set up. You know it's going to work because, well, you
spent hours at home checking it.
Oh, and it worked fine at home. And then you get to where you have to go, and everything you try to do is an effort and a fight. I've been literally working, I called you the first time about an hour and a half ago. And
I think it was more towards, about an hour and a half.
Good, an hour and a half ago, and here it is, an hour and a half later, and finally we got the thing on the road. But it's working, thank goodness, and we got a lot to talk about. A lot of things are happening in the news. You heard about the Johnny Depp trial, right?
Yeah, I did heard about it. That actually he won. You know, and I kind of knew that because not that he is a saint, but she's no angel, far from it. And the little bit that I watched, because that was a distraction in the news. But
I'm surprised the jury spent 13 hours deliberating.
I'm surprised that people watched it every day and it was all over the news.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. You know what? It doesn't surprise me because the news will put anything on that'll take away from the real important stuff that's out there.
And, proof to that is today I woke up and I turned on my computer and there, front and center, with today's news feed was doctors are warning people. Are you ready for this?
I'm listening.
When you're in the shower, men and women should not tinkle in the shower. That's the nice, polite way to put it.
Why did they say that? And not that I do, by the way. We're getting kind of personal here, but what I'm saying.
It is kind of personal. Yeah. I don't really want to know those details, but they say it's not healthy. You should sit down on the potty.
I thought maybe it gave you athlete's foot or something like that.
I have no idea and why they would even put a story like that out there. But then again,
yes, because
this is the sophisticated media out there looking out for our best interest.
I wonder who actually dug that story up. Was it a major source? So was it like the New York Times or something like that?
Well, yeah, it was a pretty legitimate source, actually. And the comments, I said, I got to see the comments. What a waste of time to read. Everybody was just going, why did you put that there?
It's the American media as we know it today. Iran now has enough enriched uranium to build a nuclear bomb.
Oh, that didn't take long.
No, now they're gonna have their nuclear bomb, and North Korea has its nuclear bomb. Everybody's got a bomb.
So let's go to Vegas and bet on who's going to be the first of those two to use it, because obviously the minds that be in the rest of the world go, yeah, we got the nukes. We're not going to use them, but we got the nukes. Although Biden has given more missiles and more hardware to the Ukraine that is going to really be a pain in the side to Russia. And Vladimir said, you know what? I'm about ready to fire the missiles, and I'm thinking about taking out the East Coast and the West Coast.
Biden said, just like a day or two before he decided to give the missiles to the Ukraine, he said, oh, we're not going to give those missiles. No, we're not. And the Russians said, well, that's a good idea. And then, so help me, like within 24 hours, Joe said, now we're going to give them. And he said, but we're only going to give them because with the caveat that they don't use them like to hit Russia. That's how do you stop them once you've given them away? How do you stop a country from using them?
Well, here's the other caveat to this never-ending story. Apparently, some military hardware that has been, given away has been showing up on the black market over there. Yes.
Really?
It's now part of illegal arm trades and going to people that don't need them, shouldn't have them, and it says made in the USA on it. It's amazing.
Well,
how did that happen?
Well, it's because we're a very trusting country.
And we have an idiot in charge.
I was going to say that.
Beat you to the punch on this one.
I think that it's only going to get worse because he just if you say to yourself he can't do anything more to hurt us, he finds a way to do something more to hurt us as a nation.
He was begging to the Fed because, his poll numbers are in the toilet. They're trying to come up with every positive story about this guy. Like there was maybe 2 or 3 countries somewhere in the world that say, oh, he's the hallmark of democracy. But everyone else around the world's going, what an idiot, what a buffoon. Yeah. So he goes to the Fed and said, look, I guess he basically said, we won't tell your story. In other words, that they're not, the Fed is not owned by the United States. And if they could keep inflation down until the midterms. So in other words, well, can you just control it for me so the Democrats can win?
Do you know what there's so much to talk about today that I know I'm jumping around like a nervous Nelly, but
I was going to say something about that, jumping around the room there.
New York State is suspending their gas tax for the rest of the year starting today. And I'm thinking, why would they suspend the gas tax in New York for the rest of the year? Think about it. Why would the Democrats suspend the gas tax in a major state for the rest of the year? No answers?
Elections.
No hands? That's it. Exactly.
That's what I would think. Yep. But it's not going to be enough because already yesterday in California, the gas prices stopped $8 a gallon. And so much so, of course, now they are going to the all-green deal that they're going to be an electric state. Mm-hmm. But with that said, they're actually going out now to figure out how to reset the pumps to add an extra digit so they can go over $10 a gallon. It's going to happen this summer in California.
Yeah.
Coming to your town very soon. Now showing in California, but don't worry. You'll get a screening of Hell 2.
And I'm thinking in January in New York State, they're going to put it back on, the gas tax, and everybody's going to feel the crunch in one fell swoop. Boom. So you're going along thinking, it's not bad. I'm paying $4.50. Today, when I was coming up here, I came through New York, and I was paying like $4.79 a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
For almost $5 a gallon.
I paid $5.02 today. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You win.
I know. Do I get a prize?
Yes. A trip to Hawaii, no expenses paid. It's just not getting any better. And that's the sad part. Usually when things are going bad, you can kind of see something on the horizon, and you think it's going to get better. It's got to get better.
You know what
I don't see it.
You know what I see on the horizon we haven't talked about yet?
What's that?
When we talk about the rising fuel prices,
mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about it. Okay, we're gonna inch through the summer. How we survive, I don't know. Northeast, it gets cold, doesn't it?
It does. Northeast. It does.
Think about all the senior citizens and the people, the shut-ins that are at home. Usually the homes are heated by oil.
Right.
Going to be able to afford that?
Oh, it's going to be miserable. Oh, it's going to be.
So we're going to have some people freezing to death in their homes in the land of the free and the brave,
right?
Thanks to Bidenomics.
What's interesting is a lot of the newer homes nowadays, they don't put real fireplaces in. They put these gas fireplaces that
mm-hmm.
look very pretty and they kind of look like a fireplace.
But they're not.
But when you really need a fireplace, they ain't it.
No, and they don't put out that much heat. They got a blower behind it that blows the heat out. But even if you had an electric fake job,
right?
We're talking about rolling blackouts hitting the summer. You don't think that's going to let up in the winter? Of course, it's not going to let up in the winter. It's going to be worse. That's when the prices are the highest because there is the most demand. So what is lying ahead is somebody described it as, I think it was the president of Chase, said,
mm-hmm.
forget about the Fed. They don't know what they're trying to do. I can tell you right now with food and gas and the Ukraine that's going on, you've got a killer hurricane on the way. This is a tsunami that is going to be the monster tsunami of all time if we don't get control of this. And all Biden's worried about is just keeping it at bay until the midterms so that they can either steal the election and say, see what we did, and, justify the steal. Not that they would do something like that.
Did you see where he is losing a lot
His
of
mind?
No, well, that's gone. That train has left the station. Yes, that ship has sailed. No, but a lot of the black White House employees and staff are leaving because they're saying we were hired to be what we are, talented, people who can contribute to the process here, and you are hiring us to be black and not giving us anything to do. So they've lost. I think I heard they lost. Was it 21 black White House staffers in the past few months? I mean, it's been a large amount. I mean, someone said, well, how many people do they have on the White House staff?
Oh.
If they can lose 21 and still have a staff, But anyway, Joe is also upset that people don't seem to be taking him very seriously. He's just noticing this. He said he's tired of his staff correcting his messages. Meaning, if he's out there and he gives a response to the press, within seconds, the White House is clarifying what he really meant.
Oh, like, you could never buy a cannon when the Second Amendment was written?
Oh, yes. And he loves that one. Bill, I've heard him say that. I thought it was like going to be a one-time wonder statement.
No.
And someone would tap him on the shoulder and say, Mr. President, everybody knows you could buy a cannon in 1776. As a matter of fact, if you need one now, I probably can get you a cannon, sir.
And the Second Amendment restricts what kind of guns you can buy? Is that the other thing that
the Second Amendment is a complicated piece of literature. It confuses people. As a matter of fact, I think you have a copy of the Second Amendment right in front of you. Your beautiful face.
You know what? It's a beautiful blue little, leather-clad pocket copy of the Constitution. Now, if I were the president of the United States, I would carry this in my front pocket so that when I said something or somebody said something, I could refer to it and not sound like an idiot, which, of course, we know Joe's not an idiot.
No.
If I were in Congress, I would do the same thing. And if I were in the Senate, if I worked in Washington, I'd have this thing. But I'm just the average guy. Oh, and I have this thing. And I bet you I could go through the halls of Washington, D.C. everywhere, and not one single person would even have a copy.
I agree.
Anywhere around.
I think some of them do, but...
So do you have some time? I can read the Second Amendment to you.
Do I have time to go get coffee or anything, or is it...
Well, I'll try to read this as quick as possible.
Okay.
Amendment 2.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm listening.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's the Second Amendment.
Is that full stop? That's it?
That's it right there. And, now he says that the Second Amendment is not absolute. All right here, shall not be infringed.
Pure.
How more
and
absolute is that? That is absolute. So he says a lot of things about the Constitution, and they're all wrong. And, a lot of people left and right of center have done that. If you are a politician and you are going to make laws that govern the people, because this Constitution is our document. So if you don't know the document, that's strike number one. Number two, if you misquote the document and try to write laws around it to circumnavigate it, well, that's treason. And that's all there is to it. Joe needs to, he needs to retire. I'm going to cut him a break and just say, I've seen the guy walk,
Yeah.
and he kind of stumbles around worse than somebody in an old folks' home.
Well,
And
Bill,
I'm not making fun of him because
no,
that happens.
But I have to tell you, I've been around for a while, and I remember Joe when he was a young man, and he wasn't a terribly nice guy even back then.
Oh, he's a terrible man.
Yeah, and so we cut him a lot of slack, and we say, well, he's still not a nice guy.
He was a liar and a cheat then. Now he's an old guy, and he looks like a lot of people don't know his past. But the ones that do go, no, they'll never know. He just looks like everybody's granddad. He'll be the perfect, puppet politician.
Right.
But he thinks he is. He thinks he won this thing fair and square.
Look what they did in Canada, though, a couple of days ago.
That scares me.
That guy Trudeau is a dictator. A lot of people talk about him, and there's a rumor going around that his mother had an affair with Fidel Castro, and that Justin Baby is the son, not of Pierre, but of Fidel. And I think the mother, who is still young, I think she has kind of talked many times about how she was enamored with the charm of that dictator down there, Fidel Castro. So, and he kind of, when you look at Justin Trudeau, he kind of has a look, put a beard on him, and you just might see a resemblance. But he's acting an awful lot like Fidel.
Well, don't be surprised. I've already seen some libtards sit there and go, oh, this is interesting what Trudeau did. And they're looking at that as an example. Well, right away, by executive order, he banned assault weapons. Now there's debate on that. But again, according to the Second Amendment, he can't do that. And then but they don't have that in Canada. Maybe they should. And then he put a moratorium on all sales of handguns.
Yep.
If you got a handgun, you get to keep it, but you better pack it away because you're not going to use it. Can't buy another one. Just think of all the gun shops that are out of business.
And my friend, that means that all of the criminals out there are going to follow the letter of the law, and they're not going to get any handguns. They're not going to have weapons to use when they stick you up, folks.
I could find a felon that probably knows the Constitution better than some of the people in Washington, but I wouldn't be surprised if he loves executive orders.
Do you think they're laughing?
That he doesn't try to do that here? The gun shops here now, they're in a panic because they're going, wait a minute, this idiot will do things that he shouldn't do. And what they're doing now, you can buy a gun. Now you have to go through all your background check still. But you can buy a gun. You don't have the money. Tell you what, take the gun out today. We'll get your background check. As soon as that passes, you can walk out with the gun and you make payments because they want to get the money out of their inventory. And I would be doing the same damn thing just in case. Because if, nothing happens, you can get new inventory.
Well, we are, I feel bad for my friends who live in Canada because they're starting to see their civil liberties disappear.
They don't have them.
Yeah, well, they thought they did. For the longest time, they thought they were just like our 51st state, a lot of them. They figured, well, we're kind of like the U.S. We're right on the border, and we have the same movies and the same basic culture, and we're kind of like you. But now you're going to see the difference in Canada. You're going to see how truly despicable your government in Canada really is. Because you're losing, the truckers lost their rights. They went into protest. They did it lawfully. They did it peacefully. And they were shut down by the government. And they were shut down by from what I've read, mercenaries that the government hired to close them down. They weren't even Canadian soldiers, a lot of them. Some people speculated that they were UN soldiers. But anyway, they shut them down. They lost that freedom. Now they're losing their freedom to protect themselves and bear arms. I mean, people say, well, they still can have rifles. How long is that going to last? How long, first they take your handguns and you get used to it. And then someone comes along and says, well, we really should take all guns. You shouldn't have
Now,
a gun.
But let's be positive about things. In history, when leaders have taken away guns before, well, first, leaders would get control of the media, right?
Mm-hmm.
They get control of the media. And then they guns are bad, so they take away guns, right? And Stalin, yeah, he did that.
Yeah. Hitler. Yeah.
Hitler. Yeah, he did that. But you know what? It's the right that is the Nazis. Oh, okay. I get it.
Try to get a gun in North Korea. Try to get a gun in China. I don't think they allow them to have guns in China.
I don't know, but I doubt that they do.
So, folks, and they want your guns. All you have to do is listen to the left. They want, and trust me, some very well-intentioned Democrats, good people, and there are, they've kind of drank the Kool-Aid. You see online people saying, oh, do we really need a gun or do we need votes? Things like that. Come on, folks.
Well, the good-hearted liberal will argue with you. What do you need a gun for?
Yep.
Well, besides what is talked about in the Second Amendment, because that is true. We are the ultimate power of this country. It is not the president. It is not Congress.
Mm-hmm.
It's we, the people, and that Constitution is our Bible, our daily bread, and these folks are not abiding by it. And until you get mad and you show up at the polls, and if you think there is something wrong, you've got to challenge it in a way that they understand that they are caught red-handed. If we don't do something, I made the comment, and you made the comment a couple of weeks ago and again last week, and we even heard Beck make it this week, that I don't believe, and I sincerely don't believe, that we're going to make it through the summer, let alone make it to the midterms, unless something big happens. And even if something big happens and we turn this ship around, you're still going to be in for some hard times. There is no way around the mess that has been created.
What you just said is absolutely correct. I agree 100%. Think of us as a huge ship, an aircraft carrier. You want to change direction on one of those things quickly, it can't be done. You can change direction. You can put in all the input to turn right when you're going straight, but it's not going to be a quick move, and that's exactly what's going to happen with our country. He has messed us up so much, it's going to take a while for us to course correct properly.
I still think Jill's running the country, or she's using him as the puppet. She's pulling the strings. She's taking orders.
Do you think Obama's doing it? Do you think Obama's involved?
I think Obama, and I think Hillary's involved. And of course, you look at the Sussman case. We didn't talk about that.
I have it right here in my sweaty little palms.
Of course, Hilly, yeah, she is Hilly. Hillary got, she was found guilty of creating that mess. Mm-hmm. She got a slap on the wrist fine, but then Sussman, they go to court. He basically, he didn't basically, he admitted, he confessed, he did it.
Yeah.
Now, so with that right there alone should have been a slam dunk. But then again, you have to remember, folks, and they didn't talk about this on the news, but look it up, look up the judge in the case, see who appointed him. Oh, guy by the name of Bill Clinton.
Yep.
The guy that smoked a Cuban in the White House. At least I think that's what he did. Anyway, then the jury.
He did something with a cigar in the White House, yes.
No way to smoke a Cuban. But anyway, and then there are the jurors. All of them have affiliations and ties.
Yeah.
To Hillary.
Do you know what one of the jurors said?
What?
One of the jurors said, they said, why did you come to the decision you came to? And she said, it was only lying to the FBI. There's more important things to do than to worry about something like that. That was her answer to the press.
And that means that right there should be grounds for an appeal and to overthrow that whole thing.
You would think.
But you know what? And while we were just lollygagging along in what seemed to be a nice little world, Oh, they'll never get away with that plan. Oh, they'll never get away with that. And they'll never get away with that. And they'll never get away with that. I'm going to be happy, working my 9 to 5, doing a little extra, getting a nice nest egg and everything going on. Guess what? They got away with every single thing, put judges in place. They've done everything. They're overturning law that shouldn't be overturned. Mm-hmm. And now, Biden is taking, I know somebody that lost, I know one person lost $6,000 in stock. Another person, a good friend of mine, and he's lost over $100,000.
Yeah.
I mean,
I believe it. Listening to Glenn Beck today, one of the things he said was, he was asked by his producer, Stewie, he said, "You're kind of pensive today, Glenn. You look kind of pensive. You all right?" He said, "I got a lot on my mind." And he meant it. This was not a joke. He had a lot on my mind. He said, "I got to talk to my wife after the show about, we got to cash in our stocks. We got to do it real fast because a lot is going to come down and a lot is going to come down soon and people are going to lose a lot of money." And I thought to myself, I haven't got a lot of stock, but I do have some. Maybe I should pull my little bit too.
You got to think about, look, you've got to make a disaster plan. You need to bone up on what happened in the Great Depression. And then you need to sit there and go, what do I need to survive? How am I going to survive? Is this going to be a 6-month thing, a year-long thing, 2, 3, 4, 5 years? I hate to say it, but it's going to be a long haul because the electric grid is falling apart. Mm-hmm. He's killed fuel and oil and gas production in the United States.
And if we turn that around tomorrow, it would take us 6 months, 8 months to get everything flowing again.
Probably up to a year. So,
yeah.
We're going to hurt before we can feel better. The shelves, they're going to be empty soon in the stores. I mean, and you're going to see mom and pop stores take a big hit. So you're going to have to think about, what do I do? You might even have to sit there and think along the lines of, the old barter system, because I'm telling you, it's going to hell really fast.
I still keep thinking back to what we were talking about 10 minutes ago about the winter and no fuel.
Oh, no, that's going to be bad.
That is going to be terrible for some people. There are some people who are going to freeze to death because they can't afford the fuel or they don't have it.
I would encourage churches to, they know where their shut-ins are, and make sure that these people have a guardian angel. You might be a guardian angel, and that's a guardian angel that will sit there and say, I may not have much to offer, but I can offer a warm cot or something in the house and, some simple food, and the church can help out because really charity, the government's not set up for that. That comes from you and me.
A lot of people do things like run a kerosene heater in their house in the wintertime because their furnace isn't working or they can't afford the fuel, and they die from carbon monoxide because it's an incredibly dangerous thing to do.
We don't have the time to explain it, and I'd have to put instructions on the website. If you got sunlight during the day, you can actually heat up a house with old soda cans in a frame that's built, that they're put in there. The cans have to be blackened. They have to be specially drilled. You put a ducking system in it, and you use basically a computer fan or a bigger fan that's battery operated with a solar panel that sits there and gets that thing going. Those cans heat up from the sunlight. Doesn't matter if it's 10 degrees outside. They heat up.
Bill, I would think that just opening your shades and letting the heat come in through the window would heat up the
I'm
place.
sure that, you don't want to go full boat survivalist, but, there are things you can do. You've got to, hopefully we don't get to that point, but have blankets, get some thermal blankets, buy wisely and buy foods that you can store and have for a while, have a way to filter water in case, if they do get the rolling blackouts, power is going to be out, all kinds of bad things. Maybe a miracle will happen. Maybe just overnight, things will just get better.
Yeah, and maybe elephants will fly sometime soon, too.
I've seen tattoos where they had winged elephants.
I'll bet you
had
have.
to see it somewhere.
Hey, look at We've done it again. We've done another half hour of insightful information, of interesting conversation. We got to do this again tomorrow, and
We will.
with a little bit of luck, we will. Now that we got all the systems working on my end, anything else you want to add before we sign this sucker off?
I'm trying to think. There's a lot of things I'd like to add, but you know what? They can wait.
I mean, I'm looking at my list of stuff here, Bill. I'm thinking I could have mentioned that, and I could have mentioned that, and I could have mentioned.
Did you
that.
mention Elon Musk? We didn't mention him. You know,
No.
he's got a problem with SpaceX and Tesla, where his workers are not coming into work, and he said, "You know what? Tell you what, guys. So if you're looking for a job, Elon might be the guy because he just told his staff, you don't want to come to work,
You're
don't
gone.
bother. You're gone."
You know, when a guy is
replace
worth
you.
$240 billion, and you think at Tesla or SpaceX that you can cripple them by walking out, oh, you're not thinking ahead. This guy he can afford to shut both of those things down tomorrow, wait for 6 months to restaff, and still make money by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, no, he's 10 steps ahead on his plans. Well, you know what? Might not be a bad time if you have any of those kinds of ambitions and talents to just casually send a resume, because you never know, because somebody's going to take him up on the challenge. Yeah, I'm not coming back to work. The heck with Elon. I don't need him.
I just saw
Well,
I
he
just
doesn't
saw a
need you.
story here, Bill. Harvey Weinstein advisor in line for White House chief of staff. You can't make
boy.
this stuff up. I feel like I'm looking at the headlines to the Babylon Bee. You know, Babylon Bee is a parody, satire.
Or what
website.
was the other one? The Onion out of D.C.
Yeah. I think they're out of business. I think the Onion's gone. I
They
think
were funny.
They were
funny.
That's probably why they're out of business. They were too
Yeah,
funny.
because it was too close to true being funny
That's
about
true.
Democrats.
Hey, folks, that is going to do it for us. We're going to do it again tomorrow. Hopefully, you'll join us. Tell your friends. It's called It's Another Day. I'm Jim. That's Bill. And we do this Monday through Friday, every single day, even
So-
when we're on the road.
Yeah. So I guess right now I'm going to spread my wings and fly like an elephant.
I'm sure you are. Have a wonderful night, my friend. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you.